Okay, let me wiggle my way in here. Hey everybody, welcome back to Gardening with the Landscape Connection. My name's Michelle. We are in Northern Illinois, Zone 5. And today we're gonna mess around with some succulents. It's actually snowing outside right now, and we haven't had a lot of snow this winter, but lately in the last 3 weeks, we've had more than we probably got all of November and December combined. So it's nice to see a little precipitation coming down because the outside certainly needs it. So if this is your first time here, welcome. And we hope that you like our videos. If you are returning, welcome back. And we are going to ask you to subscribe to our station, click the notification button so that you know when our videos come out, which are normally Thursday and Friday night. And like, share, and make your comments below because we would love to hear from you. So I just got a whole mess of hens and chicks in. I went down to the grower in Union, Illinois, which is near us, and just picked up a whole bunch of hens and chicks and sedum. I had some people that had ordered them as party favors, and so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna pick some up for myself, and I'm gonna make myself a little art project in this hanger right here. So this is a pre-formed succulent hanger that you can buy usually at a garden center. They usually come in black. I actually painted this one this royal blue because I really like the royal blue color. And as you can see, it's got little holes in here to help anchor your succulents in it. It's pretty deep here, and then it's got the two hangers on the back right here so that you can hang it on the wall. Now, this is something that will have to lay flat for probably 30 days before you can hang it up. And that's how you're gonna water it because you want your roots to get all settled and start growing in there. But we're gonna pack things in here pretty tight, and that's gonna help hold things in here as well. Now, the other thing is I am gonna take this outside and I am gonna hang it outside, but I can't do that until after the temperatures are above 50 degrees. Now, even though these are semperviums and sedum, as you can see here, they are for this zone and you can plant them in the ground. They've been in a greenhouse, and so they probably need to harden off before I take them outside. So I will wait a little bit, and I've got 30 days for this to root in before I want to hang it up anyways. So that takes me right to around, the middle of April, and then I'll take it outside probably 3 or 4 days and bring it back in, take it out, bring it back in, let them harden off, and then I'll hang it outside. We'll let somebody buy it if they want. Otherwise, we'll put it outside as inspiration for somebody else, and maybe they'll want to make their own little wall art as well. So what are some of the things that I'm using? Well, I did bring in 2 different kinds of sedum, and I really went for color. So this one right here is called Voodoo, and this one is Dragon's Blood. And this one has, like, the stems are kind of red, but it's got a nice dark green, whereas this one is that nice dark plummy red. And actually, this one gets like a chartreuse flower on it, and this one gets a red flower on it if you put them in the ground. They're nice ground cover. But I'm going to use those 2 sedums. And then I also got, how many did I get? 1, 2, 3, 4 different kinds of hens and chicks. And I've got some littler ones. So this one here, this is Twighlight Blue. And so there's that one there. I also got, this one is Commander Hay. And it's got this nice, pretty red color to it. Isn't that great? I just love the color of that. And then I got some Tectorums. And the Tectorums are green, and they've got like this maroon tip on them. Those are really pretty. And then the last one that I got was the sempervium Braunii, B-R-A-U-N-I-I. And it's just a green one, but I like the way the spiraling, it was real nice and tight. I like the way that looked. And then I also brought out 3 big echiverias. So I brought out, I think, Parva and Orion, I think is the name of these. So I brought out 2 blue ones, and then kind of, it's got a purple blue hue to it to kind of go with my container. And so these are going to be my focal pieces in the center, and then I'm going to create my art around it. Now, I'm not going to do anything complicated. I'm really going to plant in kind of like blocks and lines, but it'll look cool when we're done. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put dirt in the bottom of my container here. And what I love about succulents is they have the ability to store water in their leaves, so they don't have to be watered as often. Doesn't mean that you never have to water them. It just means that you have to water them less often. So you want to let them dry out in between waterings, and then when you have something like this, and even once the roots get established, you really should take it down to water it, let all the water drain, and then hang it back up. Using real succulents I don't recommend that you hang those in your house. I think this is something that you would hang outside. This will last all summer for me, and then I will probably deconstruct it, repot everything back up at the end of the summer, store this, and then make something totally different in it next year. That's what I would do with it. They're not gonna last forever in containers like this, but it's so fun to put together these projects. I like doing them in the heads, I like doing them in the lanterns, in the bird cages, and just really cool containers that I can find. I'm kind of a junkie. I really like succulents. So the other thing that I brought out was I did bring my paint brushes out so that if I need to clean off dirt or anything, I can have my paint brushes to do that. I also brought out the rocks. Remember I showed you the rocks in the first succulent video that we did? The black rocks that are recycled plastic and they're made to look like rocks. I brought those out as well because maybe I want to put a line of the rocks in there. So I might sneak that in there as well. And then I did bring out just one small package of moss to tuck into any open areas that maybe we need to just tuck it in to cover any dirt. I am going to put these really close together, so we'll see how that works out if I need this or not. But I might need it in some places, but I always want to make sure I have it. So the first thing I'm going to do is, again, I use succulent soil, but you could use cactus soil in a pinch. I like the Fertilome brands, but either one of these would work. And let's say you don't have any, it's okay. You can use regular potting soil, just cut it with some sand or some perlite. About a 50-50 blend. And if you are going to use sand, make sure it's washed sand. Washed sand is usually the sand that you'll find in a bag, and it's used for leveling patios. It's been washed, and all that sand that's in it has been washed out. Whereas a lot of times playground sand, which is that finer sand that you use for your kids in the play box, those are not washed. So you want to make sure that whatever you get, it's washed. So you could mix that with a 50-50 cut, because you do want your succulents to drain quickly and drain well. Otherwise the roots rot out on them and they don't do well. Okay, now I am actually going to take this, and I've got actually I'm going to put some gloves on to do this part, if I can find out what I did with my gloves. I'm not quite sure where they are. Well, that's okay. I'll wear these gloves. They don't quite fit as well. Are they underneath there? Nope, I don't know what I did with them. I'll find them after I don't need them anymore. All right, but I am going to put a bottom layer of dirt down inside of my little container here, okay? And I'm just gonna drop this in here. Now I did paint this yesterday. I just used a can of spray paint, you know, like one of those Rust-Oleums, and I just got a royal blue gloss and I sprayed it. So I just want to get dirt on the bottom. And I am gonna go in here and I'm gonna pack it into my little holes and make sure I push it into the corners. And remember, I can wash all of this off when I'm done. So this actually had a chance to dry overnight. Okay, so I want to get a good base of dirt in here. This would be why you don't want to hang it inside. If you hang it inside, could you imagine watering this and then hanging it up, and then if it didn't, you know, get all of the drainage out, you'd have streaks of dirt running down your wall. Oh, that'd be horrible. Okay, so this really is an outside project. Okay, because you're going to hang it up. I did one of these one time. We participated in an art event with the art museum here in Rockford, and it's called Art in Bloom, and I think other cities do it too. And what they do is they give you a picture, and you have to interpret that picture into a piece of art using organic material like flowers, food, and 80% of it has to be organic. And so Stems Floral always participates. And one year we got a picture, and I got one of those old-fashioned frames. Man, I wish I had a picture of this, but I did the whole thing as a succulent design, and it mimicked the art piece that we got, and then we hung that up there, and we had that here all summer long. And a lot of times, you know, people don't necessarily want to buy one of these, but they want to see how they go together so that they can go home and make their own. So we do sell these containers here, and you can find these on the internet too. Okay, and the cheapest way to do it is with hens and chicks and sedum, because when you start using echiverias or hautherias, it can get pretty expensive because you're going to need a lot of them to fill this in. So that's why I like to use hens and chicks. And so I'm going to kind of create a repeating pattern when I do this, and I'm going to do it kind of in blocks. So now that I have filled that up, And as you can see, this is how it's gonna hang. So I'm gonna be making this upside down so that when I stand it up, you'll be able to see it. But I can still see all of my, and no dirt will fall out once we're done. Okay, so now that I'm ready to go, what I'm going to do next is I'm gonna start working with the hens and chicks. I did pre-water these yesterday. I like to water everything before I'm working with it. Some people like to do it dry. I like to do it with all my soil damp because everything anchors better together when you're trying to pack it in. The other thing that I will do as I'm creating my piece, and I take my hens and chicks out of the pots, and I'm actually gonna ditch the gloves at this point, and I know my hands are gonna get icky, but that's okay. Gardening's about getting dirty. Okay, so what I do a lot of the times, and I'm probably gonna prep a whole bunch of them at the same time, and I don't want anything real big. Let me get a container, I'll be right back. Here we go, I'm just gonna grab one of these containers, because what I do is I will pull a lot of this dirt off of here so that I can manipulate these and get them really close together. And so the other thing is, it's a good time if you have any leaves at the bottom that are browning or they're not looking good, you can pull those off at this time as well. So I want to get them so they're like this, and I've pulled a lot of that dirt off of there. See, look at all the dirt that I pulled off of there, so that when I put these in here, I can put them really close together. Okay, so I kind of thought about in my head what I wanted this to look like when I was done, and I wanted it to be this like striped pattern that was diagonal to the square that was here. And so I thought that, you know, my centerpiece would be these three pieces here, and that these would kind of be like, one would be here, and one would be here, and one would be, let's see, I did that backwards, like that. So that those pieces were kind of like that, and then I created lines like this with everything else, and so it was opposite, and I would use the same plant in each row, and I was just gonna plant in rows. So that's kind of what I'm going for. Now, whether or not it actually turns out like that, I don't know. We're gonna go for it though. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to, let's see, I need a place to stack those. I'm gonna get, again, a lot of the dirt. Oh, let me get this little baby out of here that I cleaned already. I'm gonna pull a lot of the dirt from around the base of this one. If there's any dead leaves, broken leaves, or things like that, I'm gonna go ahead and just pull those off. And then I'm gonna break up this root system. These echiverias are probably the ones I didn't water. I got these from inside. And then I'm just gonna dig a little hole, and I'm gonna get that in there. And then I'm gonna backfill it with, and pack that in there around it, okay? So that that one is in there really good. Then I'm gonna do a different color echeveria here, and I wanna try and get it as close to this one as I can. So again, I'm going to clear off some of this dirt. I'm gonna look for any broken, or, you know, they dry out, they're desiccated. I'm just gonna pull those off of there. And that's normal, so don't think you're doing something wrong with your succulents if you have those in there. Okay, I'm gonna get that one as close to here. And this is where some of the moss might come in handy, because I am gonna have a little bit of a gap there because I do have the metal bars there. Now I could cut those out, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna work around them. Okay, here we go. Here's my last one. And I'm gonna try and put this one in the exact same hole as the first one. And again, I'm gonna try and push that dirt from underneath. There we go. So I've got my first three in here. I'm gonna stand that up and show you. So see, there's my first three. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and go in rows all around that. So the first row I'm gonna do is I'm going to use, let's see, this one is, which one is this? This one is the Commander Hay. Okay, so I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna pull off a lot of the dirt, and I'm gonna get off around the edge here, and then I'm gonna put it right down in here. I'm gonna dig a little hole. I'm gonna get that right down in there, and then I'm gonna try and get a line going all the way down. Some of these are pulling right out, so it's working pretty good. There's a second one. I'm just gonna keep pushing them in there, and I'm gonna get a third one in here too. Except that's a different, gotta make sure, I want the same ones. Okay, so then I'm gonna put another one right there, And then I'm going to come along with another one. Dig a little hole there. And then I can get a last one. You can tell these are pretty newly planted, which works out good for me. Okay, so there, as you can see how I got a nice straight line there? Okay, so I've got those, and then I want to get another line, and I'm going to use a different succulent. I'm going to actually use the Braunii, and again, I'm going to pull off a lot of this dirt, and I'm going to create a little hole right there and tuck him right in. So this way I've got different colors, different textures, and I've got different things going on with the succulents. Okay. Another little hole, and I'm going to put him right next to that. And I'm going to do another one. I kind of laid out the pattern over here on a little table next to me so that as I went, as you can see how it's moving along? Okay, so I'm going to actually come around and pause the camera, and then as I get further, I'll show you again what I'm doing, hopefully with the camera closer so you can see what it is I've done. Stay tuned, it's going to magically transform. I'd sing to you guys, but then you'd probably turn the camera off. All right, so I'm still working on my lines here. As you can see, I'm repeating this one over here. So see how it takes quite a few to make what you're doing. Now, when I get to a line, what I'm doing is I'm shoving it on the other side, and then I'll tuck one right here so that way it just covers up the metal. But see how you can tuck them really close together? Now, they know and they can sense, I don't know how, but they can, when you really cram them close together, and it will really slow down their growth. Okay, so see, I'm just going to tuck those right in together, and I'm just going to keep going on this line. All right, let me keep going, and I'll be right back. Okay, I got this row in, and then I decided I needed another one. So I ran inside to get another one because I feel like I need that, see, right there to finish out that row. And I was thinking that was just not going to be a row, but I actually think I need that. And that's just it. When you're doing art, design, it really is no right or wrong. I don't think anyways. I don't follow rules. I do what I think looks good and what appeals to my eye. And so that's kind of the rule I follow. I don't necessarily think that I'm doing it right or wrong. I'm just doing it what I think looks good. Okay. I'm going to keep going. Okay, I decided that I wanted to add a row of rocks. So I made like a little mound of dirt just right there. And then I'm going to add these rocks, and I'm just standing them straight up and down. And then if I need a little more dirt, see, I'm just tucking that right in there. So I'm just going to have this row of rocks in there. Just something to break it up, something interesting. I'm going to hope they don't fall out. We'll find out. I'm hoping that by packing the next set of succulents in here, it'll hold them in place. Whoops. I think it's this little one. Let me get rid of that. Here we go. All right, there's my row of rocks. And then I'm hoping by packing in the next set of succulents, it's gonna hold all of these in place. All right, and the next thing I'm gonna start with these purple ones here. These are the Commander Hay. Okay, now as I've done this, I have had to add more dirt because I keep backfilling and pushing it in and packing it up against the ones that I just put in there. So I keep packing it in. And then what I'm doing as well is then I dig little holes to keep going. Okay, so now I have to kind of look at it. I like those rocks in there, and think about what else do I want, or what color scheme do I want next? Do I want to put sedum in there? I don't think so. I think I'm just going to put the sedum at the corners. I think I'm actually going to use this one next up against there and do a row of those, and then I'm gonna do another row of these little tight packed ones. All right, be right back. Okay, I got my next row in. Okay, so I'm liking the way that's looking. I got this gap up here. I have to figure out what I'm gonna do with that. I might push this one a little bit further and then put some sedum on either end here to make it balance. I am liking those rocks, and it seems like they're in there nice and tight now that I've packed the sedum up next to it. All right, so the next one I'm gonna do is, again, I have to add more dirt because I can make the little holes with that, and I'm gonna pack those in. Okay, and the next one I'm gonna use these Brauniis again. This one right there. Aren't those cool? I love the way they spiral. Look at my hands. They're a mess. All right, so now we're gonna tuck these in. And again, see, I took it all the way down. Okay, and then I'm gonna make myself this little hole right there. And I just keep pushing the dirt back in there around it. I'm gonna get another one. And just keep pushing that in there. And I'm just gonna keep going in a straight line. And when I reach a bar, again, what I'm doing is I just kind of tuck it in and then go over the top of the bar and then get one and put it on the other side. Okay, so there you go. And I can probably get another one in right there. So I'm gonna look for a tiny one, which I found one right here. And I can tuck that right in there. All right, and then I'm gonna put my sedum right down here at the end. So I am gonna make a little hole in there. And then I'm gonna get my red Voodoo sedum, which is this one here. And basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rip. See, I just ripped the bottom right off. I'm gonna throw that away. Then I'm gonna get another one because I want it to look nice and full. And I just kind of rip the bottom off. See, and then I got two of them here, and I'm just gonna shove those two right down inside that hole. Just shove it in there just like that, because the two of them together make it nice and tight and make it hold in there. Okay, so now I have to figure out, I think I'm gonna pull out two rocks right here, and I'm gonna put a sedum here and a sedum here. I don't know if I want red or green. There's a lot of green right here. I actually like the red, so I think I'm gonna put the red in. So I'm looking for another Voodoo here. And again, I'm just ripping the bottom off, and then I'm gonna shove that right down inside of there. And I can clean that off with my brush. And I actually think I can get two in there. They look fuller on the tray. And they actually are once you actually take them apart. Okay, so that's there. And then I can just wiggle this one. Come here, baby. Just wiggle it up a little bit. Here we go. Okay, yep. And then I can fill this hole back here the exact same way. And I'm gonna take two of these. And I'm just gonna rip off the bottom, because the bottom really is, the roots are all like right here. So I'm just gonna rip that off. And then I'm gonna use these two, and I'm gonna tuck them right down in there like that. There we go. Okay, so now I'm gonna clean it up a little bit. So I'm gonna clean my hands, clean my brush, take a brush, kind of clean it up, and then tuck in. I'll come back when I'm ready to tuck some moss in into places where there's holes. Okay, now this is the tedious part, because you do want to get all of the dirt, or as much as you can, off of this before you moss it, because otherwise you're brushing the dirt on top of the moss, and you don't want to do that either. So it's not too bad. I've had it worse. And you can use the back end of the paintbrush to tuck down dirt as well if it's in the way, or if you get those little pieces of perlite in there. And again, if I have too much, I'll brush it out. And it's okay to move them, you know, move them around. They're pretty tough. And if you break off, you know, I just broke off a couple stems. It's not the end of the world. Okay, get it off my rocks here. So I'm going to take about probably 5 or 10 minutes to finish cleaning this up, and then I'll start tucking the moss in, and I'll show you that process and what I'm doing with that. Okay, so now I'm to the mossing part, and so what I'm going to do is I take this moss, and what it is, this is just preserved moss from, where did I get this? I can't even think of their name. The moss guys. I can't even think of what their name. See how I'm just going to tuck it in there where that exposed dirt is, but I'm not pushing it in so hard. I can still see the moss, because the moss is also pretty, but I am tucking it in there, okay? And I'm mostly doing it on the edges. I'll think of the name of this moss company by the time I finish this video. Okay, so I'm just going to tuck it all in different places where I need some moss. Now there are a few places in the middle that need it, and I might tuck it in there as well. I don't want any of the blue metal to show, so I'm going to tuck it in there. And see how I kind of lift some of the pieces up so that I can get down underneath it, but I can still see it on the edges there, and I haven't used very much. Okay, I'm going to tuck that right in there. And again, when I'm done, I will use my brush to clean this up a little bit. See, there's a little, when you're looking right down on it, you can see if you've got dirt holes or things like this. Now, I do like to have the moss peeking out in a few places. I don't need it in a lot of places, just a few here and there. I got these tucked in here pretty tight, but there was a hole right there, and I think I need a little bit right there. So mostly I put it on the edge. I got dirt exposed right here, so I don't want to see that dirt. So I am going to tuck that in. And see, it's still kind of fluffy, but I've pushed it in far enough where it's not going to come back out. The same thing here. Okay. And then I think I need a little bit. Oh, look, there's a dead. See, there's one of those little dead ones right there. Just pull that right out. I am going to tuck just a little bit right here. There we go. And then maybe lift this one up. And again, I can use my brush to kind of clean that off. Tweezers work good too. Okay, so I think for the most part, this is done. And so I'm going to clean the outside edge, and then I'll stand it up and we'll take a look at it. Okay, I had to go turn the camera on and back it up. Okay, oh, here I am. But I really want you to look at this, because oh my gosh, I am so happy with how that turned out. Can you imagine that hanging on the wall? I think that is absolutely the bomb. I can't wait till I can hang it up. Okay, so that is how you put together a wall hanging succulent. So let me get down here so I can see you guys. I'm Michelle with the Landscape Connection. Thanks for watching. I hope that was inspiring. You don't have to do something that elaborate, but you can certainly do something really cool with succulents. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Have a great day. Bye. That was so cool.